sir, people. Again today we have a wonderful discussion. We have somebody from for the P Plus movement. You know what I'm talking about when I say that I have a challenge to have at least one person of each country of the world on my YouTube channel. And today we're gonna talk with somebody that has three country in her heart. So we have USA, we have Venezuela, and we have Colombia. It's so amazing. How are you, Marty Smith?
I am blessed. I am so happy and thrilled to be sharing this with you because I know the passion you have for life and for a message of hope and
Yeah,
getting this world back to being focused on what's important in life, not all the mess that we have.
there's a mess, actually. Yeah, and we have to be like a light through that mess. We have to stand and be positive because I think that when we are positive, everything can go well. Actually, if we stay positive all the time and so yeah, and hope, actually hope, positivity, and all these stuff. I want to share it over the world with the story of people. So that's what we're gonna do today with you. We're gonna talk about your story, your amazing story. I'm so glad. Thank you very much for the time you give to me because time never came back. So thank you.
No, I know it's indispensable, but at the same time, it's such a big, I don't know, it's a privilege. It's a privilege to share this time because I know that God wants me to share what I've been through so that someone else doesn't have to suffer or someone else can find a way out of
Exactly.
that idea that we're no good, that life stinks and we can't do and approaching it in a better way or a different way. So
Exactly. And as I always say, we can learn from each and everyone in the world. So that's why I'm doing that as well. Because yes, the story of somebody will inspire somebody else at some point. There's always something for at least one person that will be like, oh, okay, she did it, so I can do it. Or, oh, she didn't do that because of that. So I'm gonna try something else. So yeah,
that's
I think we
that's
can
it.
learn from each other.
Awesome.
So first question. It's
Okay.
always it's like my brand question, as I can say. For me, everybody is like a unique book that deserves to be known. So if your life was a book, what would be the title and why?
Okay. Resilience nourishes the soul. Why? Because that's what opened up the other side of my story to
Okay.
look at the positive, to look at the blessings, to count my life as being worth something. I had been told when I was little that I was a mistake. They didn't want girls in the family,
Oh, wow.
I what does one do at 7 years old? So
Ooh,
thanks be to God, I saw it in a way like I was stubborn. I was going to prove to somebody somewhere, to
wow.
myself, that I was worth valuable somewhere, somehow. But life has its funny ways of showing you the very things you're trying to avoid in a different light so that you can heal. And that's what happened. I wrote my book. My very first book is Resilience Nourishes the Soul,
Really?
and it's published on Amazon. But it was like a catharsis. It was a healing process where I could have easily, it happened during the pandemic when I published it in 2022, the
I want
end.
to read it.
Okay. Well, in 2022, the pandemic comes and I'm like, was already having flashbacks from the numerous traumas I had in my life, and I was like, I don't want to live this. People are dying. Everybody's, it's the end of the world. We're not going to make it, and I can't deal with all that negativity because I was getting away from it. So
Okay.
I said, okay, let me be productive. Let me be busy doing something creative,
Yeah.
and I got this 3-day weekend book camp, and I was like, oh wow, this, I might be able to write a book here. So and then this is the part that I knew I had two choices. I could choose to write a horror story because I've had so many traumas, but I heard God say, you don't need to add horror to the world. Take your horror story and get the blessings out of it. And that's where I turned around and started seeing everything that had happened. I had been
Wow.
called a mistake. I've been to several different schools. I went to 18 different schools in my lifetime. Always,
18.
always in a half a year. I got left back in kindergarten. Why? Because I didn't know my native tongue, Spanish. So
No way.
we kept moving 49 times in my lifetime. And I was like, I don't know what culture, I don't know what language to speak, I don't know anything. So but
Wow.
I was always learning how to adapt. And after writing my book, I started seeing, well, look, not many people get a chance to travel everywhere. Not many
Exactly.
people get a chance to learn languages of different cultures. And I started seeing all the positivity. And I was like, okay, you're alive, you're breathing, you have your senses, you are capable of doing much more. And I've always been surrounded, and this is a blessing too, always had like the right key people, even though my own
Yeah.
family didn't have it, the right key people that would say, Martie, you can do so much better than what you think you can. And I look at
Wow.
them like they're crazy. I don't know what you're talking about. And now that I'm doing what I'm doing, it's like, oh wow. They were my little angels. They were my little angels
Wow.
that pushed me through when I wanted to give up, when I wanted to throw the towel and I say, I can't do anything. I've had numerous careers. I've been in the Air Force. I've been a radiation therapist treating cancer patients, but from every one of those experiences, when I was going through it and I couldn't do it anymore, it was like, I hit the wall again. But then looking back, I was in the Air Force. I had an adventure. I did things that most people don't ever get to do in their lifetime. I got to fly a simulator, which was not, it was not legal for me to do, but I didn't care. It's like I'm
Wow.
daring, I'm doing. I got on the simulator. I flew an A-10 jet
How
pilot.
is it?
It's the best video game I've ever done in my
Oh, yeah,
life.
right? Oh,
And they had different scenarios. They catch the engines on fire. They would,
yeah.
it would, lack of oxygen, all that. And I was just pushing
Wow.
buttons. I didn't know, but I had this instinct that I could do it. And I was pulling G's and everything. And then the last scenario, I crashed the plane, but of course it wasn't real. But if you feel it
Yeah,
like
yeah,
you're in
yeah.
a plane. And they show you all the scenery and everything. They cut the lights on the runway and I was like, but it was the
Wow.
Air Force was the best thing. My very first decision that affected me in a very good way. Had I not done that, I would have never learned independence. I would have never learned to stand on my own 2 feet and stand and believe in my firmness of my faith, my virtues, my values, everything. So I appreciate, even though it was a short stay, I appreciated that I got away from a toxic environment in my family, but learned to appreciate the things that I had not appreciated when I was
Wow.
with them.
That's an introspection.
Yes, in big time, big time. And
Yeah.
it gets juicier. I wish I could spend hours talking to you, but it's just like I've had 65 years of experiences
Yeah.
and
We
and
can feel it actually.
and everything that happened for a reason. It
Yeah.
wasn't a curse, it wasn't a misery. It didn't, I was very depressed. Why did I get depressed? Because I've had so many surgeries to the point where my muscles atrophied. I re-injured my knee and my muscles atrophied. That took me out of that radiation therapy career, and I couldn't treat cancer patients. But those cancer patients taught me to appreciate life. They taught
Yeah.
me those especially the children. That was like, you know,
I
it
know
it
it's
opens
something.
it opens your mind and
Yeah,
your heart, and
it
you're like,
does
whoa,
because they're
how,
positive. They're
yeah, and
positive.
this kid hasn't been on this world for that long, and here I
Yeah.
am twice, three times as, and they're like, I want to remember smiles. All I see is my parents crying and miserable, and I was,
Oh,
and
wow.
I would go in there and be a clown for them, and they would appreciate me, and
Of
it
course.
taught me how to live. It taught me to appreciate the
Wow.
most important things in life. So where do I start? Where do I end? I don't know. It's so much to tell, but that's the thing, is I think God was showing me all these things to turn around and share them with the world. That was
Wow.
when the pandemic hit. I discovered my passion, my purpose, and my mission. I was not blessed with children, but I've been married 42 years, and I always felt like, going back to what I had heard when I was little, you're mistaken. Now you can't even have children. I always would down myself.
Yeah.
Auto sabotage is
Yeah,
what,
I know what is
and
it.
no self-love whatsoever. But then I was like, yes, Martie, but you became a catechist. You've been teaching for 35 years the faith to these children that are now grown and doing the same thing you taught them to do.
Exactly.
So I didn't expect to see fruits of my labor. I was just loving the kids and the energy and all the, I could put myself in their shoes, because I guess I never really felt like I had a childhood. And I tell you now that I look a lot younger than I did 10 years ago
Wow.
because of the joy of feeling that
Joy of
I
life.
do have something. I do have something. I just need to get it out. It's oozing the love out of me to share with the world. And that's what I want. I don't care if people think I'm crazy. I'm punch drunk with love and hope. And I want to share it with the world because the world
Wow.
needs this goodness. The
Oh,
world
yeah.
needs to hear the voices of what their heart is saying, not what their mind is saying. Oh, we're not going to make
So
it. We
true.
don't have enough money. No, you have the riches in you. You just haven't dug them out of that mess that life is. That's the difference.
Wow, it's amazing. Wow, thank you for all these message. It's so inspirational. And what would you say to somebody who would say that he doesn't like deserve to have a good life, he doesn't like his life
But
to
that's
push himself?
right. Well, that's a very good question. And most of us feel like we're comparing ourselves
Yeah.
to the rest of the world.
Hmm.
Okay. We are not, this isn't a race. You're not in a competition with anybody. We are all one race, the human race. And I'm glad you
Exactly.
brought this up because really and truly, we have a uniqueness, the miracle that God made us. We have unique talents, we have unique treasures. Why don't we feel we have them? Because of how life has enclosed us into thinking that we're no good, that we failed, that we miss an opportunity, that we don't show what someone else feels, But if you study, and this is the part that really gets to people, if you study, most of the people that are successful have suffered. And
Yeah,
if
true.
you learn how to suffer with grace and you learn from the opportunities, because that suffering gives you an opportunity of lessons learned, it gives you an opportunity to take a different look from a different perspective and say, well, maybe I'm doing it wrong every time. That's why the patterns repeat themselves. And why do they repeat themselves? Because of the emotional luggage we carry. We need to clean that garage out.
Yeah,
It opens the windows, it creates a bigger vision, and you see the possibilities, you see the options, you see the people that want to help you, you see all the goodness that that light that obscures you with all your worry, with all your traumas, with all the things you've lived. That's your past. Take the good out of your past, those lessons. Look at where you stand right now. Ask yourself, where do I want to go from here? What have I learned from the past?
yeah.
And what are my goals? And do by baby steps, because it took me 60 years. I just had this all happened the last 4 years. So 10 years ago, you would ask me this question. I was like, that man crazy. He wants to tell me to sell me something good, and I don't know anything good happened to me. But that's how you just have to give yourself a chance and be
Yeah,
kind and loving to
yourself.
yourself,
Yeah.
because you cannot give love to anything or anyone if you don't know how to love yourself.
It's yeah, yeah, I think it's the fundamental. If you don't love yourself, how could you love other people?
No,
And how could people love you if you don't?
no, 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 no,
No,
no.
it's so true. Wow. I thank you. I'm kind of I'm impressed. So I'm like I forgot the questions and all that.
It's all right. It's all right. Just go with your gut.
I have a question actually that's not written. How come you went to the military, the Air Force?
To get away from the house, to gain my
Yeah.
independence, because this was the problem with me in South America. I was happy. We'd go visit my grandmother, I'd go play with my cousins, and I didn't have to do grown-up things. I didn't
Yeah.
have to be an interpreter. I didn't have to do anything other than want to play. But it was so short-lived. And then we'd go to United States. In South America, they have maids. Okay. They have someone to cook, someone to clean, someone to iron. Okay.
Okay.
So here I am going to the United States, spoiled rotten in South America because we were not poor. And then we go to Venezuela lived in Venezuela as well. But in South America, you let the maids bring you a glass of water. You let the maids serve you hand and foot.
Okay.
We go to the United States and I was the maid.
Oh,
I learned to cook when I was 5 years old. I learned to iron, and I was building, and this is cute because I laugh at myself. Now I've learned to laugh of a lot of things that I knew were going on in my head all the time. that I would write a resume. I can cook, I can clean, I can iron, I can take care of kids, I can watch babies. I'm going to get adopted. I'm going to go somewhere where they love me, where they recognize me, where I can be, expressing myself. Well, it never happened, but the people that would meet me, oh, to my parents, you have such a lovely, well-behaved daughter. And I was like, oh, can I get adopted? Can I please? But it was, my
Oh,
parents were not, I was born, and now I realize that you're not born with a manual and you don't have instructions,
no,
and
exactly.
whatever you lived in the past, maybe you didn't share it with your children, but this is where I say you need to tell your children everything you've lived so that they can learn from that as well, because
Wow.
they will respect you even more.
Wow, that's so true.
And
We don't say that we don't say things to our kids usually, and I think it's really
we
precious.
try to protect them, but
Yeah.
you don't learn that resilience from early on.
Hmm.
When if you're protected all the time and then you go out in the real world, no one is going to protect you but yourself. So
So
that's
true.
where you learn to suffer and you learn to get over it, and you see that it was a lesson. You see that it was something that challenged you, but you're still alive.
You're
You're
still
still
alive and you're doing
able.
your best.
Yes.
Yeah,
And you
that's
start
true.
picking up all the tools that God is lining out for us to pass
Hmm.
the test of life. It's the school of life. No one is exempt from
No.
not going through the tests. And I don't know anybody that hasn't suffered. I have yet to meet them. And be as many times as I've traveled and moved everywhere, I'm still waiting to say,
Yeah, so
I don't
true.
have a problem, but
No,
maybe
we
they don't
don't.
admit it. Maybe they're very proud and they're not going to tell the world how much they hurt inside, but you can read it. You can read it like a,
Yeah, it's true.
and even the people that say, if I get money and I'll be rich, I'll be happy.
No.
No, you're just clouding the reality that you're not happy inside. So that's why I say money is important. It can help you, but it's not a necessity for you to believe in yourself.
Wow. It's a good message right there. Thank you for that. Wow. I really love it. I just love listening to you actually.
Thank you. Thank you.
Um,
It's just
what
coming out of me, all this that I've been
yeah,
holding
it's
back.
so I feel it and I love it. It's human, it's natural. I really love
Thank
it.
you. Thank you.
What inspires you the most about yourself?
My resilience, my
Yeah,
ability to bounce back, the adaptability, the always wanting to be a servant spirit, to help someone because I know what it's like to feel helpless and hopeless.
yeah,
So I that's kind of like my carte blanche, that this is Martie. I wear my heart on my sleeve now. Before I was very pretentious, very arrogant, very everything opposite of what you see in front of you now. But it's because of what I have lived in my life, and that was my life. That was my livelihood, to live in my misery, to feed the constant, oh, woe is me, poor me, I'm a victim.
yeah.
And then I get around with the people that would kind of try to outdo each other to see, oh no, I'm more miserable than that. That's so unproductive. Yeah, I'm not saying avoid people to tell you problems. I'm just saying don't surround yourself and absorb all the problems.
Yeah.
Guide them to some help, guide them to professional, outlets or whatever, or to learn, to educate, something.
I need to take
Advice.
that advice. Thank you. Yeah, I need to get it.
We all, and I'm not saying, and people see me and, oh, Martie's got it made. No, right now I will tell you,
Work
I'm
for it.
suffering a pinched nerve. Okay. And this has been since February. For me to be smiling and be this encouraging and everything, that's God. That's
Wow.
what the joy that he's built in me to say, okay, that's just something little. You'll overcome it. The medical treatment has not gotten to you. It's because of the red tape of being in the service, whatever. It doesn't matter. I don't focus on that.
Wow,
And I
you're so
just say, let
positive.
me let me get inspired. Let me write. Let me write, because when I feel pain, that's when it all starts coming up.
Yeah, yeah.
Again, and all the little triggers of what I felt before and what I feel now are completely different. So it's almost, I say it's almost God's doing a pop quiz. Okay,
Wow.
we're gonna send you more pain. See how you're gonna bounce back with
Yeah,
this.
a challenge. Like, what you gonna do with it?
Yeah, it's not I wash my hands, I'm never going to suffer again. No,
No.
it's a constant grind every day. You're going to have your ups and downs. Life is not a bed of roses. There's nothing
No.
happy-go-lucky all day long every day of your life until you die. No, on the contrary, you have to ride the waves of adversity. You have to face the fact that you're not perfect, that we are
Yeah.
not absolutely and uniquely, we got it all under control, because we don't control anything except how we react, how we
Oh, wow. So
respond
true.
to the things that are happening. The rest of it is not in your hands. And when we learn to look at problems in that version, then you say, okay, I'm suffering. Let me regroup. Let me relax. Let me take a bigger look at it. Okay, I can't do this. I can't do that, but
Try to
I'm
figure
doing.
out. Yeah.
Yeah, you count your blessings and the thing,
Yeah.
and then you see that every time the blessings outnumber that little moment that gives you that lapse of, here we go again. And you change your attitude. You do
Yeah.
change your attitude, but it takes practice. It
It's
takes
so true.
a lot of practice.
Because yeah, practice for sure, and it's so true because when you're in your problem, it's like you're seeing the tree, but not the forest.
Right, right, right.
That's
It's
what,
just like,
yeah, that's what I'm
oh,
saying. Yeah, exactly.
I'm
There's a big
dying over
forest,
here.
but you just see the tree, the single tree that are all your problem. So yeah,
Right.
it's so true. So yeah, you were Air Force.
Yeah.
You wrote a book. Where are you at now?
I'm in North Carolina, in
Okay,
Cary, North Carolina, but I was born in Colombia, South America, and I lived, and in fact, I have a brother, a younger brother, 8 years younger, who I was his mom too, and he's from Venezuela. And
okay.
that's just showing me that I'm international,
Yeah,
because
exactly. So that's awesome. I want to be international as well. That's why I'm talking to everybody.
yes.
But so yeah, so you were born in Colombia. Did you lived a little bit in Venezuela or?
Up until 5 years old, and that's when we moved to Venezuela.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's
No,
true.
no. First, we moved to United States. See, I've lost track of how many where I went every time I moved. But first, at 5 years old, I remember I was the interpreter for mom and dad when I was little. So I learned
Okay.
English first. But we went to Colombia, and that was all Spanish, and I was like, I don't understand. I wasn't quite. And that something else that made me shy away from Spanish was, if you say a word in Spanish in Chile, it's not the same. It doesn't mean the same thing in Colombia. It doesn't mean the same thing in Venezuela. It
Oh,
could be
really?
like a fruit, like a fruit. You're saying a bad something, and I was like, I'm gonna shut up, and I'm only gonna speak English because it's safe.
Yeah, yeah,
But I got left back in Venezuela in kindergarten because I didn't know my native tongue. But
yeah.
then they gave mandatory English classes, and I was like on top of the world. I love school. School was good. And the teachers, I also was blessed. And this is where I love the teachers that I had, because they would engage me and encourage me to continue.
Wow,
Even
this
though
is
they
awesome.
saw all the difficulty in my family and everything, it's like
Wow,
you
that's
got this.
important.
No
Education is
kidding.
so important, but the
Oh,
education is going through the teachers. I
that's
think the
it.
teachers are really important because they have to
Guide you,
yeah, to guide you and to make you want to learn too, to have fun by learning, I
encourage
think.
you. Yes, 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 yes.
Yeah, exactly.
That-
So yeah, I have a question. Is Venezuela and Colombia kind of the same or really different?
the people are very, very friendly, very proud of their heritage. And so I say the similarities are there. In Venezuela, though, I seem to have enjoyed myself a little more because of the joyous of Venezuela.
Yeah.
They're just free spirits, and I liked all that. But in Colombia, it was we were blue blood, and so it's very reserved and very,
Oh
to
yeah.
me to me it was staunchy, and I
Okay.
didn't like that. And my grandma, hear my grandmother say they spit so high up, they think they're all that it falls and lands on their face. In Spanish it sounds so much funnier, but it's just like, yeah, and I was, in a way, that was a limiting belief for me, that no, I don't want to be part of this. I like the United States because I feel independent, I feel free, and I get to tell my parents to interpret all these things. My mom would take me to the gynecologist and she would ask me as a little kid to talk to the doctor. And I would look at her like, you want me to say what? I don't even know what you're talking about. so I've learned to laugh of a lot of things, but as a little kid, you want to just be a kid. You don't, and that's where I think I missed most of my livelihood as a child because I was too busy worrying about being perfect. And the reason why I wanted to be perfect, especially this is where school was my life jacket. You know, with school, I could go and I had perfect grades, and I loved being catered to as far as paying it. The teachers would pay me attention and all. I'd go home and I'd get like a 98 on a spelling test, and mom would say, what happened? Why didn't you get 100? And I'm like, but it's an A, you know, and I didn't understand. I was, of all my siblings, I have two, a younger brother and an older brother. I was the
Okay.
only one that finished college.
Okay.
So
Wow.
I said, this is my opportunity. As a radiation therapist, I went to a medical school, okay?
Wow.
Not just college, but a medical school. And I thought, I'm going to win my parents over. They're going to be so proud of me. I'm going to do something right for a change. Why didn't you make valedictorian? I had a 3.9 GPA. That's pretty good. 4.0 is top.
Okay.
And so
Wow.
and not only that, I was going through all my medical difficulties, all my surgeries. I had an entourage of people that loved me because I had parking privileges as a handicapped person. So it's like, well, I could do it. I overcame a lot of medication. I was taking 14 medications that really should have made me a zombie, but my pain tolerance is so high, as well as the ability to get any kind of relief from
Wow.
pills. I don't take one pill except supplements right now. Thanks be
Wow.
to God. But the pills that I was taking were antidepressants. I had a severe psychiatric breakdown when I ended up in a wheelchair from all the muscles atrophying, and I was like giving up.
Whew.
But but God wanted me to go through that so that I could get better at everything that else that I hadn't noticed. So
Wow.
it's just amazing. I feel like I'm just a walking miracle, and more blessings come than I can even digest in my mind, and my heart is like, wow, okay. God is super generous with me, and I don't feel worthy still because of all the things that like, oh, what he's going to expect even more, because they tell you when God gives you something, he's going to expect more from you. So I think that I've leveled that off as saying, okay, I'm going to leave a legacy of hope for the world. I'm going to leave goodness. I
Wow.
don't want to leave any mark of your life step is terrible, because it isn't. It's what we make of life that makes us.
True. And our reaction to problem, like you said
Mhm.
before, that's wow, it's amazing. Wow. There's a lot of stuff to take from you. You have a lot
To
to bring to
share.
all the people.
Yes,
Seriously.
yes.
Wow. Wow. I'm amazed.
Thank you. Thank you.
Um, which country you're the most attached to?
I say, and this is funny because Venezuela, the
Yeah,
people, they just make me smile. It just brings back good memories
the
from Venezuela.
vibration, the
Yeah.
life is good there.
In Colombia, the panorama,
Wow.
the beauty of the country, the fertile soil, the black dirt that grows these beautiful fruits and flowers and everything. So I miss that. I miss that because we go out here in North Carolina, it's orange clay.
Yeah.
It's not, it's not the dirt that you can crumble like
Mhm.
black fluff, you know. But I just say a little bit of everything. And the United States is what I have to thank for my confidence, because of the Air Force, because of my
Beautiful.
education, because of overcoming all the difficulties with the language and everything. And in fact, in high school, I didn't take Spanish, which what both my brothers did. Oh, this is an easy subject. No, I challenged myself. And this is where I say that resilience, that wanted to
Hmm.
strengthen my ability. I took French. I took 4 years of French honors. And in college, the Latin
That,
terminology for medical, I
yeah.
was
Oh,
ooh,
yeah, it's true. Eh?
I know all five Romance languages, so I can understand them, but I just don't feel confident enough to speak them. But if I had to do it, I could do it. I could read something to someone to explain in whatever language.
Wow, that's amazing. Like actually, I always thought that somebody who is able to talk a lot of languages, it's how can I say that? It's like it's culture. It's something we need to learn, I think, because
Yes.
first we can talk to much more people, and at the same time, I feel like it's growing your intelligence because you have to understand the culture when you talk the language.
That's it. That's it. And that's another thing that I discovered because of moving around so many times
Yeah,
that we're so much more similar than we allowed ourselves to think.
I know.
We all have the same needs to be heard, to be
Yeah,
acknowledged, to be respected, to be hopeful, to be helpful, to be everything. We all have something to offer. And
we are all human.
if we went into the world with the idea of sharing everything we had, tell me this world wouldn't be different. Tell me this world
Exactly.
wouldn't thrive in peace and culture and everything. There's so many flavors of all
Yeah,
we have to offer. But the one thing that I appreciate, I learned that no matter what language, even if you don't speak it, there's two universal languages, a hug and a smile.
wow, it's
Those get
oh
you,
wow,
it gets you through anything and everything because
so
no
true.
one is scared
No,
of a
when you
hug or a
smile to
smile.
somebody, it smile back. You
That's
smile
it.
back. Yeah. Oh wow, it's so true. And that's a good message of life. And it's one of the point why I'm doing that, actually talking to people from each country so that everybody can see, hey, we're all the same. Yes, we are human.
That's it. That's it. And we all want that something, that little something, but that little something, we look out there for it. It's in us.
It's in your heart.
We cannot find it because we worry too much, because
Wow.
we're critical of our own selves. We are our worst enemy. And when we learn
What?
not
Yeah.
to auto-sabotage ourselves,
Mhm.
you always all of a sudden a light
Oh
bulb comes
yeah.
on and you're like, why am I doing that? And you change. And little by little you
We
dissect
evolve. We
all
have to
the
evolve every day. Yeah, so true. Exactly. And what are the difference between these three countries about the culture?
the culture. Well,
Yeah.
I think they all have their uniqueness. One thing I do will say about Colombia, and this is where the political part of me that I didn't know there was a political tie to me. My grand uncle was assassinated. He was going to be the president
No way.
of Colombia.
Oh wow.
And my dad was present when they assassinated him, but he never shared any of that. This is why I say we need to share with the people. And why do I say that? I've discovered that somehow or another I inherited that advocacy to help people, that advocacy to be a voice for the people that don't have voice, for those
Wow.
children that suffer and they
Yeah.
don't have anyone to stand up for themselves. I'm very much an advocate for those that don't have voice, and that is what I thank my grand uncle for, because he was doing that in South America and Colombia for those people. So and whenever I speak to someone from Colombia and I tell them, they're all like, oh yes, and then they recognize because they know the story of his background, and they're like, well, you got a lot of that in you. And I'm like, wow. Yeah, I wish I'd have known my grand uncle. I wish Dad would have explained to me what he had suffered, in that he shut it out of the whole family, or it was never a family discussion. But now I know why we moved so many times. He was paranoid. He thought somebody was going to follow him and
Mm,
kill him. He was trying to protect us.
that wow.
Had I known that, I would have tried to open up and say, Dad, there's another way. Let's fight. Let's be
Yeah.
resilient together. Let's enjoy life. But look at how God is. Dad had a heart attack. And by then my family and I I've been married 42 years, and it's like we kind of drifted away from each other. We just didn't have anything in common. And I say we didn't know each other. We didn't appreciate each other because we didn't know each other. We always remembered the bad stuff. But I got a call from a neighbor. Your dad is in the hospital. You might want to come and see him. He's on his deathbed. And I was like, who are you? And why isn't my mom calling? Because we hadn't communicated in 8 years. I had given up Spanish for 8 years.
Wow.
Why? Because of my being in the wheelchair.
Yeah.
Every time they called me, they were embarrassed to see their daughter being handicapped and everything. I was like, I and my husband said, if you're going to call her, don't upset her. And that created a whole other version in their head that, oh, he told us not to call. And I don't know, but it's just miscommunication. I showed up at the hospital. I said, I'm going to go see my dad because I had gotten out of the wheelchair and I said to God, okay, God, wherever you want me, however you want me, I'm yours. Show me the way. And that's when I became a catechist to teach Sunday school to these kids. And that's when I felt like I was getting that parent that parenting with the children, someone else's children. I had the best of both worlds because I borrow them and give them back. And I would
Wow,
listen to
that's
them.
awesome. Yeah.
And so I showed up at the hospital. Dad was having a heart attack and he had two more while he was there. 3 months I spent in the hospital with him in ICU, CCU, and all the U's in between. But the one thing that I appreciate, and for the first time in my life, I felt the love of my father.
Oh, wow.
And why? He
Whew.
couldn't speak. He didn't have the ability to speak because he had Alzheimer's and nobody was discovering that in him. But my medical knowledge, the tools that God gave me, let me see that. And I
Wow.
called the neurologist. I said, you need to find out. My father is very forgetful. He doesn't know who I am. Something is going on for my medical training. And sure enough, he had Alzheimer's. But he stayed in the hospital. He used to see me and I would use the patient care skills that I had learned treating cancer patients. I would play him music and he would smile. And I was like, yes, I'm pleasing my father. He is happy. He is proud. And it was like
Wow.
we were having a conversation without having a conversation because it was that much love pouring out. My mom took a little longer to respond, and she was I didn't never go home. The 3 months I was there, I never went home
Wow.
because mom would visit. What are you doing here? And I was like, me and dad, me and dad, me and dad. That's it. But I ended up going back home after that hospital because dad got out. And within the month, I get a phone call from my mother. We're gonna lose the house. And I'm like, dad was an electrical engineer. He had all the IRAs, all these retirement plans, everything. But the paranoia had made him squander all that money. So you come to this house and you see bigger closets than you do rooms. So now I understand everything that was happening. Back then I didn't know. Now I
Yeah.
understand that the mind was messing with him and he couldn't find joy. And so he was trying to spend money to do things that weren't really fruitful to them. So they were getting ready to go in foreclosure. We had a house in Charleston, South Carolina, and I said, I got it. My husband was the one that said, you're not going to live with the guilt if you don't do anything about it. And in a way, I had already told God, wherever you want me, however you want me, I'm yours. So we came,
Wow.
we ended up selling our house at the worst market value, but we almost had it paid for back then. It would have been worth 350,000 or somewhere in that range. And we came to here. They owed a bunch of money on the house. This house wasn't even nowhere near as getting paid off. And I'm like, oh. So we took the mortgage, we refinanced the house, and we got them at a hawk. But during all that time, we ended up having to repair the home because it had toxic mold, a bad
Uh,
roof, an air conditioning. So all our life savings
yeah.
were, and I was like, and this is where my husband is a saint because I don't think anyone else would have said, go spend the rest of our retirement on your parents and go live with the people that called you a mistake and so he has been more than benevolent. He's a saint.
Wow.
He's a saint. And
Wow.
and and all that makes me love him even more because I didn't even love myself and I didn't love my parents, but yet he was the last one that was present for my mom. He had his own business while we got established here. We ended up living, but for the one person that would come and check on him would be my husband would check on my mom because she
Wow.
had dementia and we had already lost dad. So the day that she passed away, my husband called me because he was working in the neighborhood. He stopped and checked on her. He says, you might want to come home, baby. I didn't make it home, but he was there. He was there. And had I not had him, I would have found my mom dead when I got home from work. So tell me that God doesn't put the right people in your life.
Yeah. No, and that's love. Wow, that's awesome.
Yes.
I like those stories because I've been with someone in my life. I did children, and now I'm not with her anymore. And I kind of felt depressed at the beginning because it was the end of my family. You know what I mean? Like I built a
Right.
family and was the end of it. But learning about those story, it gives me hope that
That's it.
in the future I can find somebody to finish my life with.
You just focus on the good things that have happened. That you have a child, you have someone
Oh
that
yeah, it's my life.
can emulate the very things that you didn't learn when you were little, and all that
So
stuff,
true.
in that wisdom, that source of wisdom that a father is for a child. You can't barter that. You can't give it away. It's
No.
just something that's super special. I wished my father would
Yeah.
have shared, but it doesn't matter. The end result was I got to help him. They got to see the
You,
person,
you had that time. That's so
and I
wonderful.
was not a mistake, that I was meant to be what had to happen. But I was meant to be doing the things that I ended up doing. So it,
Wow.
forgive me, but it's just, I miss him. I miss my father. And I know he's proud of me. And my mom, because my mom took a long time for her to acknowledge, and she was talking to all my friends that would come and help me with her because I was going through my own surgeries and everything. And she would say, your mom loves you, this, that. And I said, she never tells me. She always says, and I think it was guilt. It was guilt from the very thing she said when I was younger, that you were a mistake, and she didn't know how to take it back. But that's the thing, is we have to express what we're in, what we're worried, what we're concerned. If we don't know where the other one's coming from, we don't know how to resolve. We don't.
So true.
But I'm so grateful that everything ended in a good way for both of them. And then my brother passed away with COVID.
Oh
This
yeah.
this from a brother that only wanted the inheritance that my dad left when he was buried. He came to the funeral, and my younger brother, both of them came, and they thought they were going to get, I don't know what. I said, you're more than welcome to the what I've inherited, debt. I tried to show them, and they didn't want to hear it. So mom passed away, and now they're both gone. They think they're going to get a third of the house, and I'm like, I don't think so. We've been paying for it for this long, and we refinanced, and you got no rights to it. So my brother went away to some other state. I don't know. We never kept in touch. They were
Okay.
jealous. They were jealous. He both had been divorced, and they
Oh.
were always holding things against me, comparing. When you compare,
Yeah, it's no good.
mm-mm.
Compared to yourself, that's it.
That's it. And so I'm grateful that I was able to find a place. They called me. The police came to the house. We're looking for the next of kin. They were looking for mom and dad. And I said, and my husband was the one that answered the phone. And I had broken my foot, so I couldn't go anywhere. But they said what happened. So I called the hospital and I said, please send a priest for my brother. That was the quickest thing that I could think of. That's the only thing I could think of because of my faith. And then they called me. The priest calls me while he was talking to my brother and giving him his last rites. And he said, is there something you want to say to your brother? And I said, yes, I forgive you. I forgive you for everything that you've done.
Wow.
I hope you forgive me for whatever I did wrong with you. And that that was like, and then people started helping me gather funds to bring his ashes and put them with my parents. So I say, God wanted me to bring the family back together. However way he figured out to do it, bring the family back together. And I say, the one that I'm missing now, and I don't know where he is my younger brother, but I pray that he sees this, that he one day he comes back and reaches out to me. And I think that's an urgency for me to also go global with everything I'm saying, because I know he's out there somewhere, and he might be suffering very much so the way I was suffering. So I don't know. It's
As you said, everything happens for a reason, so it might happen. And seriously, thank you. I'm so grateful about what you're sharing to me right now. That's wow. Uh,
it's intense, and but at the
yeah,
same time it's necessary. It's
yeah,
necessary to get it out of your system and share it, and someone somewhere might hear a little something
so
that'll
true.
say, i can I can look at it a different way. Why haven't I
Mhm.
looked at it a different way? You start questioning yourself.
Exactly.
Take a look at yourself first. And then
Wow.
you won't be worried about the rest of the world and what they're thinking and what they're
Yeah.
sharing, what they're caring and nothing. You have to worry about you. It sounds selfish, but
No,
it's
it's not.
important. It's
Yeah.
necessary because that will evolve into you believing in yourself and sharing it with the world. So you can't get a better
Wow.
gift than that.
Exactly. And as I always say, we being ourselves is the best gift that we can give to humanity anyway.
That's
Because
it.
we are all unique and all together we form that big puzzle of life. That's what I think.
That's it. That's it. Exactly.
So what would you say is your life mission now?
Okay, so I'm definitely building that legacy of hope because
Yeah.
I want to, and I already have. I'm on my fifth book. I'm on my,
Wow. Okay, I
on my
need to read one.
the one that I started, Resilience Nourishes the Soul, is in English and Spanish, but the other ones are anthologies. But I'm getting ready to put out a solo book. It's called Creative Chaos Warrior. It has everything to do with the chaos that we're living now, the
Yeah.
misinformation, the bombardment of we're overstimulated with the internet, with
Yeah,
everything.
we are.
We have to learn to discern and pick out the truth.
Hmm.
What helps me see the truth, if your gut and your heart and your mind are going every which way, that's not for me. And when I start saying, let me look a little more, and you get interested and you feel calm and you feel, and that's another gift I've gotten that I never thought I'd have, a sense of peace, to be able to sleep and not worry about anything. That is magical. It is. And why don't I worry? Because I offer it up to God. So people, find you a faith, find you a way to dump all that worry out of you, and you'll see things differently. You'll want to motivate yourself. We are our best motivators, but we don't know
So
how.
true.
And if you don't know how, read my book, get in touch with me, follow me, and I will show you the way.
Yeah, exactly. And just talking with you is already a lot. I can say it. Like the vibration, you enjoy life, you're positive. Wow, it's amazing. Seriously, I'm amazed.
Thank you.
I'm always inspired by everybody I talk to, but today it's wow. Yes, you're a warrior.
That's
And
it.
what it's awesome with it is that we are all human. You are human. So if you did it, we can learn from you and try to do the same
And
in our problem.
if you start young, oh my gosh, if I had gotten any hint of what I'm living now,
Yeah,
then I don't know what I'd be, but I'd be very, 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 very productive in humanity
that's
because
what
I
you're
would
doing
I
right
would be
now on
teaching them.
giving these experience and advice to people.
Yes, yes,
Because
it
if
is
you
very
were if you
fulfilling.
knew that before, you wouldn't be yourself, actually.
No, 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 no. I was living a pretense of something I wasn't happy with. And that's the part. You got to ask yourself, am I really happy with it? You can have, and I had many jobs that were paying me primo,
Okay.
but if Friday came, oh, I can't wait till the weekend. Monday comes, I don't want to go to work. That's telling you that you don't want to do that. Yes, you're making money, but that doesn't make you happy. Make you going to work and spending time doing something you're not creative, you're not putting your signature on it of what you do, then you can't be happy. You're not. You belong to someone else and you're making
Yeah,
someone else happy because you're giving all your talents and your treasures to
to the
them.
person.
The pandemic, I think, was a shift for everybody. Of the people that have bounced back, they're like, I have something to offer. I don't have to go work 9 to 5. I can do something, share something. And
Yeah.
and that's what I am now, and I will tell you this, that I am now geared towards working on a series with another coach from Germany, and this is that international.
Oh,
She
wow.
and I are going to build a series of books from kindergarten all the way up to adult. Doing what? Being an entrepreneur, being a, a lemonade stand entrepreneur, how to learn economy, how to learn to value your talents. If you have a
Wow.
service to offer a kid, and the kid can go help a grandparent or older people go get the mailbox if they can't ride their wheelchair, go mow their lawn, go do run errands. I mean, my end dream, if I ever or no, not if, when I
Yeah,
get,
exactly.
when I get my money, because see, I'm still talking like the
Yeah,
old,
yeah, no, I'm doing the same. It's all right.
but when I get it, is to open up a retreat center. And in there, I'm going to have the wisdom of the older people, sharing it with the youth
Wow.
that are handling horses and teaching the handicaps how to do, because there's therapy for that, for the children with handicaps to get on a horse and feel the joy of life.
Yeah,
Kid. And those kids sharing the enthusiasm of life with the older.
exactly what I was about to
Tell
say.
me that, and then it has to have golden retrievers, because animals
Yeah,
are the ones that teach us unconditional love. Horses,
so
the
true.
same thing. So if I have someone that wants to sponsor me, give me a farm with the horses, the golden retrievers, I'll set up the retreat for the older people, and I'll bring the youth to work it. And we are going to have a happy little retreat.
Wow, that's amazing. Wow, I want to talk to you one day when it will happen and to share these
Yeah.
beautiful project.
And I can come back on there if you need to question me in a different way or whatever. But
Oh
that's
yeah,
I appreciate you so much for opening up this platform, because the more people I meet, the more I realize that we're all like-minded and want to help the world, and we all have
exactly.
a way to pitch in and help each other. And together is so much better than on your own. And together we can resolve the very thing that we've forgotten to take care of,
Yeah,
our life and our
exactly.
humanity.
As I always say, we are as strong as people around us.
That's
So
it. That's it. That's
so
it.
let's get with humanity.
That's it.
So last question in conclusion,
Okay.
at the end of your life, what do you want people to remember from you?
She gave it her all. She didn't quit. She was the best example of someone not to ever give up for themselves, and shared her story in love.
Wow. I can say you did it already.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you.
Seriously, thank you so much for all you shared today. I don't know how I didn't cry because usually I would have cried a big time. But wow, I'm like I can feel your heart. It's so it's inspiring because, like you said, we need positivity, we need positive people. And sometimes when you're all positive and you're trying to fight for humanity, you kind of go depressed and you think you're alone in that fight. And then I I see you today and I talk to you and I'm like, wow, there's light again. Like, wow, thank
That's
you.
it. We can form each one of us has that little bit of light, and together we can form
Exactly.
a big
Exactly.
torch to relight this world in a better way.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Oh, wow. That's exactly that. And I think that's not the last time we're gonna talk and we're gonna do something
No.
together. Because seriously, wow. I just have to say, wow. I don't know what to say else.
Thanks be to God, because he's the one that allowed this for me, and it's a privilege and honor, and I will definitely follow you, and we'll keep in touch.
Yes, we will. So thank you so much.
And
Thank
thank
you to
you.
everybody for listening.
Exactly.
And have a good night, have a good day, or evening now. So, oh
God
yeah,
bless
and in
everyone.
conclusion, I always say, let's go.
That's it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Knock
Let's
it out
do
of the
it.
park. Yes.
Thank you so much.